to do the right thing. And we employ those persons who are elected officials to do the right thing, and as well as the people who are protesting to do the right thing, and the church to stand together to do the right thing. We thank you. I want to also say and express my gratitude to all of the clergy that are here, and I want to announce that this is not over, that tomorrow, when all the cameras are gone, we are standing together as clergy here. We'll start at 11:30, and we are walking to where this incident happened. We are marching together to the actual accident site. And we are going to stand together as clergy, as the church. And we're inviting everyone out, every clergy person and laity. We are standing together as we stand in the gap for those who cannot speak for themselves. Thank you.
Well, I'm Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II, President of Repairs of Breach, co-chair of the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, past president of North Carolina State Conference of Branches of the NAACP. I want the media to be clear, what you see here standing are pastors of every denomination who represent people. And I want to be very brief and succinct in what I say. Then I want to bring on Bishop Monroe, who will tell you who he represents in the AME Zion Church. And then the Reverend Dr. T. Anthony Spearman, the president of the NAACP in North Carolina and the former president of the Council of Churches. And then I want to bring on Reverend Jennifer Copeland, who represents the North Carolina Council of Churches. We speak with one voice. The voice of Scripture, verse Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1 and 3. Woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey. And Jesus said, woe unto you who go through all the ritual, but you leave undone, Matthew 23:23, the weightier matters of the law, which are justice. Women and children have been made to feel like prey because there has been another police killing in America, but right now in Pasquotank County and in Elizabeth City. Since and during the Chauvin trial, we've had the death of Dante Wright. We had the death of Donovan Lynch in Virginia Beach. We've had teenagers killed. And now we have our dear brother Brown shot in the back. We heard tapes just came out from the city cameras. The attorneys just let us know. And they're ugly. We come to say with one voice that a warrant is not a license to kill. A warrant does not give, in fact, no police person has the authority to engage in execution. This is not the mythological Wild West, dead or alive. A warrant does not give someone the permission with a badge and a gun to be a bigot and to be trigger happy, and certainly not to intentionally murder or execute someone. We already knew what the audio says, and now the video makes it even uglier. And we come as one voice, as clergy, to say this. First of all, you've heard this about the sheriff and the county lawyer, but the county lawyer is not the real lawyer we need to focus on. It's the DA. And Dr. Spearman is going to talk about that. But the county sheriff and the DA have been inept, incompetent, inept and incompetent. And they have already proven themselves unable to deal with this case. So we stand incapable to deal with it. So we stand together as clergy saying that this case must be turned over to the state attorney general. that the county in our state, the DA has to make the request. Well, the request needs to be made.
That's right.
And if the request does not need to be made, the powers of this state need to figure out how to make it be made.
Yes.
From the governor to the attorney general. Because this group of people have proven themselves incapable, inept,
Yes.
what's that other one? Incompetent. That's our word. You got it, media? That's all I got to say. Inept, incompetent, and incapable. And because of that, these babies are crying. These are 7 children, 5 minors.
Yes.
Inept, incompetent, and incapable of dealing with the kind of justice that justice demands right now. This is not the old South. This is the new South rising. And we will no longer stand for DAs. What's his name, the DA name? Wooten, Womble, and Sheriff Wooten. We will no longer stand for the days in the South when we put up with law officials and DAs that were inept, incompetent, and incapable of dealing with the matters of justice. And so that's all we have to say. We call on the powers of this state to take this case. There's a proper trial, there's proper arrest, there's proper prosecution without immunity, and that there's proper prison. And that the United States government comes in here and does pattern and practice review of this county. And let us go ahead and say, we might as well do Eastern North Carolina, since the DA covers about 4 or 5 counties. In 7 counties in Eastern North Carolina. Bishop Monroe, Dr. Spearman asked that Bishop Monroe speak, and then he would come.
Good afternoon. My name is Kenneth Monroe. I'm the presiding bishop of Eastern North Carolina Episcopal District of the African Methodist Episcopal. Please know that the Eastern North Carolina Episcopal District composes of 310 congregations from Chapel Hill to Elizabeth City down to Wilmington, North Carolina. As the bishop of that area, it is my job to be sure that pastors and congregations be responsible and accountable as Christians in this Episcopal area. In doing so, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. A decision is needed now to call on this officials of this city and county to be accountable for the actions taken to take the life of Andrew Brown Jr. I come not only by myself, but I bring a host of other pastors throughout the Eastern North Carolina Episcopal District. We come with one voice, and we join the voices of all of the Christian churches throughout this state of North Carolina. I ask that as we move forward, that we not forget the life of Andrew Brown Jr.
That's right.
That we not forget his family. As we move forward, it is our responsibility to make sure justice will be taken care of.
Thank you, Bishop. One voice.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to thank the media for taking the time to come out and be with us today. Your role and your duties are so very important to these significant times that we are faced with. I am the president of the North Carolina NAACP, representing more than 125 branches and college and college chapters across the length and breadth of the state of North Carolina. Our mission is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate race-based discrimination. When Bakari Sellers, a son of the movement, was cursed at, The brother was straight out cussed yesterday with white police officers' favorite word, the F word, when he escorted his client to watch the doctored 20-second body cam tape. Every black pastor, every black teacher, every black lawyer, every black doctor who has ever put on a tie, a collar, a handsome dress, or simply a clean suit of clothes, like I did this morning, like all of us did this morning. I cringed with anger, disgust, and yes, I confess, every emotion that negates the love of Jesus ran through my, what I hope to be, sanctified soul. But I recalled when Jesus, the man, went ballistic on the money changers in the lobby of the temple, hustling the worshipers. Then I shook it off, Dr. Barber, and thought, welcome to the black belt, Brother Sellers. The black belt, the place overrun with unhealed dissonance, where irresponsible rural demagogues continue to wield power totally out of proportion to their county's constituencies. Welcome to the Black Belt, and one of the original pre-clearance counties covered by the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Welcome to the Black Belt, the place from where my father, my daddy, was forced to uproot himself and migrate north to raise his family. Because on the night that he married my mama, he handled the white man who called him the derogatory epithet that rhymes with trigger. Don't want to lose all my religion. I do not like the F word. I hate the MF word. Fighting words like the SOB words, meant to be fighting words to get us fighting. Welcome to the Black Belt, where the interlocking systems of racism, poverty, and militarism work so tightly together that minorities find it hard to breathe. And where the knee of white supremacists were on the necks, have been on the necks of the minorities for years. Welcome to the Black Belt. I'm so glad that Brother Sellers quoted his agent provoker on national TV verbatim, because it was obvious they were trying to provoke our brother Andrew Brown as they shot and killed him and tried to show that they had to do it. And of course, we know now that that is a blatant lie. Now, let me share something with you this morning. I want to put a bug in your ear. This black belt is a fertile seed bed for the racist patterns and practices of white power in the South. But there's a man here, although retired now, who knows the law inside and out, and he looks like you and me. His name is J.C. Cole. He took great pride in his oath to the Constitution, and he knows the new law passed 4 years ago in General Statute 132-1.4a, governing the release of law enforcement agency recordings, which states a person whose image or voice is in the recording may ask the agency for disclosure. That is, for an opportunity to see or hear the recording. The agency has the discretion to grant the request.
The agency.
If it doesn't, the person may appeal the denial of disclosure to a superior court judge. Any person, including the news media, may seek release of a recording. That is, a copy of the recording. But an agency normally may not release a recording on its own. It normally may do so only pursuant to a court order from a superior court judge. There are few exceptions to the rule that release requires a court order. A law enforcement agency must release recordings to the district attorney
That's right.
for use in criminal prosecutions and may release recordings within the law enforcement community for law enforcement and training purposes. I believe this dignified assembly of pastors has the standing to go directly to the judge today, as does every media outlet, and ask for a copy of all law enforcement videos, not just the doctored up 20-second snippet that they insulted the family's intelligence with. School of Government Professor Bluestein has written that practically every judge who has been asked has released the tapes. Judges know their communities. They watch TV. They know the eyes of the world are on Elizabeth City. And my hope is that while all eyes are on Elizabeth City and Andrew Brown, that those eyes would take a hard, long look at District Attorney Andrew Womble. Somebody say his name. Andrew Womble.
Andrew Womble.
Who thought it not robbery to return any calls from the North Carolina NAACP.
None.
Andrew Womble.
Andrew Womble.
Say his name.
Andrew Womble.
Who has been operating like some modern-day Wizard of Oz, hiding behind the curtain of corruption while manipulating the chessboard of white supremacy. Andrew Womble.
Andrew Womble.
Not Wooten, although he's involved, was responsible for the delaying of the viewing of the body cams. Remember him, Andrew Womble, when the election comes around. Again, I say welcome to the Black Belt, the place where the North Carolina NAACP fought hard in 2018 to keep the Trump nominee Thomas Farr from occupying a lifetime seat on the United States District Court for the Eastern District of North Carolina. The Black Belt. Farr had nothing to give and everything to gain.
That's right. That's right.
Andrew Womble has nothing to give but everything to gain if he becomes a superior court judge in the Black Belt. We were in Washington, D.C. because we knew what we were up against. And we're here because we know what we are up against. And if any change is wrought, it won't be wrought by power, nor will it be wrought by might. It will be wrought by the Spirit of the living God. I believe when the North Carolina NAACP asked U.S. Attorney General Garland Merrick and North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein to investigate the obvious cover-up in Elizabeth City. We will want to look closely into who is financing the district attorney, R. Andrew Womble's campaign for Superior Court judge. And I want to say one thing in closing to you all. Stop focusing and groping for the low fruit.
That's right. Big ones.
Reach to the top of the tree for the high fruit. Because it's the high fruit that ripens first and ripens to fall to the ground. Hear you me. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Spearman. Dr. Copeland.
I greet you on behalf of the North Carolina Council of Churches, 18 denominations across North Carolina from toe to heel. And we are here with one voice today. Last week, on the morning after the jury rendered a verdict on the murder of George Floyd, the North Carolina Council of Churches issued a statement. We were cautiously hopeful that the verdict was a turning point, that now we could have real accountability. And then, less than 24 hours later, Andrew Brown Jr. was shot in the back. Enough.
That's right. Enough.
Enough.
That's right.
Now, our statement last week, when we were still cautiously hopeful, had 5 important points. They're on our website. You can find them. Go and look them up. But I will share a summary with you today. We say to all the congregations and denominations we represent, 18, as I said, black and white. Black and white.
That's right.
Progressive and conservative.
That's right.
We say to the 18 denominations, but hear me now, we say particularly to the white denominations,
That's right.
Speak.
the
All right.
historically white denominations, to our white people of faith, make dismantling racism a priority.
Yeah.
Make it a priority. We can no longer
No longer.
stand on the sidelines and cheer, yay, y'all go. We can no longer stand on the sidelines and watch.
Mama.
We must be with our black neighbors in the march. We must be in the protest, but especially we must be with them in the work of dismantling racism. Dismantling a system that continues to kill people every day.
Mama.
We must eradicate the sin of racism at the ballot box, in the halls of justice, and in the halls of power. And if we have to go into those places, as my friend T. Anthony Spearman has asked us to do, then we shall go.
Amen.
I call on my white brothers and sisters to confess, or confess again if you're a little bit woke. Confess again that we have been a part of this racist system.
Mama.
We must repent from passive acceptance of this system and move to active resistance to
That's
this
right.
system.
Yes.
That's it.
And here, we must accept God's forgiveness and begin the hard work of restoration.
Yes.
May God have mercy
Yes, sir.
on us all.
Yes.
Amen.
Thank you.
And so you're clear, we speak with one voice. This DA has been inept, incompetent, and is therefore incapable of addressing this issue.
That's right.
I can say it as a pastor. We know he's trying to run for Superior Court judge. Yes. And we won't want the media to be fooled. That's why we're saying to y'all, you reported the county lawyer. The county lawyer is just appointed by the county commissioner. That's not the lawyer. That's right. It's the DA that's elected. And in these black belt counties, there's often been an unholy unity with DAs, the judge, and the sheriffs when it comes to black lives. Might I say brown lives? Might I say Native American lives? And even poor white lives. It all connects together. And there is no way out of this, America, except when it is known that murder, assassination, or execution happens, that there is accountability. And accountability must mean arrest. That's what they would do to me if I shot somebody in the back. You get arrested. Then there must be prosecution without immunity. You cannot have an immunity just because you happen to be a police person. And then people must be found guilty. That's why we need federal laws that standardizes this, because the problem is too often people know even if they get arrested, they're going to get off at the local level. Remember Minnesota, what it took? It took a 9-minute plus video. It took the attorney general. It took bringing a special prosecutor out of retirement. It took millions of people. It just didn't just happen. Too often is the case, is when they go to trial, then there's an acquittal, and you can't charge somebody a second time. There has to be federal guarantee of prosecution if the local doesn't work. Then there's going to be time where there must be payment, but it can't just come from the taxpayers. It needs to come from these killers and their pensions. And then we have to have pattern and practice review, because whenever you see folk do what we've seen now on these videos with impunity, there is a consciousness that it'll be all right. There's a system, there's a certain sensitivity that I'm gonna get away with this, and I can do it. There isn't even a second thinking or a third thinking or a question or an option. And too long has it been that you can be shot in the back or in the front with, look, for air fresheners, for selling cigarettes, for being a little child, or for being served a warrant. Those days must be over, and a new reality must begin. And because of the blood, they're in the church. We hate to see the blood. We know the blood costs something. We know when there's a lot of blood, somebody died. We know when there's blood, somebody got hurt. We know when there's blood, somebody suffered. We know when there's blood, somebody's messed up, somebody's lost a family member. But in the church, we've learned at Calvary and in the graveyard that there's some power in the blood. And you can mess around and kill one of us and raise up 10,000 of us because there's power in the blood. The blood fertilized the civil rights movement. The blood fertilized the movement against the war. The blood fertilized the fight for voting rights. And that's the difference. When you kill one of us wrongfully, you may kill them, but we rise in their name. Say his name, Andrew Brown. Say his name. Andrew Brown. Say his name. Andrew Brown. We are determined that the South will rise. But it will rise not like it used to rise, but it's going to rise in a new day. And this diverse crowd, media, please report this. Look at the diversity, black and white and young and old and Christian. This is the newness of the South. This is the diversity in the black belt that's going to turn the black belt from being a place where too often justice is strangled. Instead, it's going to be a black belt that ties us all together,
That's right.
holds us all together, and brings a new day. We are so bothered
Yes.
that this boy is dead.
Oh, my God.
But that means his death can't be in vain. Now, I've said this and I close and take questions. I know down south y'all think we move slow sometimes. We got a little draw with what we do. But let me be clear. We do move slow sometimes, but we root deep. We grow deep down here. And whenever, Keith, we lock in, we can be fighting each other. We can be fussing with each other. Kill one of our own. Kill them wrong. And the blood will cement us together. And our roots will go deep. And we will stand until change comes.
Yes.
Are there any questions from members of the media? And identify yourself if you're a member of the media. Yes, sir.
Well, Mayor Thomas with WRL.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Go back to what you're saying as far as you want the state attorney.
All right, here we go.
You want the state attorney general to respond, yet he did release a statement today, and I'm going to read it in part. It says, quote, "From my office to play a role in the prosecution, the district attorney must request our assistance. My office reached out to district attorney Andrew Womble to offer that assistance, which he has acknowledged."
Well, that's part of it. But remember, we said these folk are what? Inept. And what else? Incapable and incompetent. That's what you got in this state. Now, the powers that be know how to get stuff done. They did it in the Duke LaCrosse. They got it taken over. They did it in the Jonathan Farrell case. So what we're saying is there needs to be every push.
That's right.
Because the folk down here are what? Inept. And what? Incompetent. And what? Incapable. So you've heard Dr. Spearman say the North Carolina NAACP, Paths of Breach, all of us are making the request. Secondly, the preachers here are saying they have a right. He gave you the law to have standing, to have those tapes released, fully released. They got the city ones on this, but we need the actual body cameras. Thirdly, the General Assembly, regardless of party, could pass right now.
That's right.
Right now, it took 120 hours for them to get a 20-second snippet. Think about that. 120 hours to get 20 seconds. Well, in 20 seconds, the General Assembly could go in and pass the law that guarantees that the body camera footage all across North Carolina is public record. We demanded that be done.
Let me just,
And lastly, we demand that the DA not hide anymore behind the county lawyer, right, Keith? Right, y'all? But he should step up now, right now. But if he doesn't step up, we encourage the governor, the AG, in every way possible to do everything that's, and I won't say about everything else because we don't often know, but what we know, things can get done. Because right now, what we got in North Carolina and the whole world is seeing a group of folk that are what? Inept, incapable, and incompetent. And his name is Womble.
let me just respond to the statement that this young man has made. And who do you represent?
I'm with WRL.
WRAL. I think I would like to press media to begin to take a look at reframing the questions that they ask. That the Attorney General made that statement is one thing, but did you ask him what it took for him to come out with the statement?
Are you asking me that question?
No, it's rhetorical.
And ask the DA, why isn't he doing it? Ask the DA, why if it's proven that they are what? Inept, what? Incapable, and incompetent, that he doesn't turn it loose. He doesn't even want to get on the camera. He's sending the county lawyer who's not even the DA. So evidently he doesn't want to deal with it. So turn it over. Can't find the sheriff either? The two W's hanging out together. Lord have mercy. They're AWOL. They're inept, incompetent, and incapable. Yes, sir.
Ben Finley, Associated Press. Can you comment on the FBI opening up a civil rights investigation into the shooting?
Amen. That's enough comment. So be it. Because the people here are inept, incapable, and incompetent. Yeah, the FBI, Department of Justice, that's what FBI is. Governor, AG, a man is dead. And shot in the back. On camera. Multiple, and we didn't even know this until one of the reporters asked the other day on Saturday, Keith, what did he say? Did y'all know there was a SWAT-like team? What's that SWAT-like team? That means assault. Who are you going to get? Somebody that had no history of violence, no gun, no drugs. Got out of the car shooting. This is Eastern North Carolina, and Eastern North Carolina needs to speak to the whole world, but before the world, Eastern North Carolina. That's why everybody's uniting together. Everybody. I talked to Roland this morning. Everybody's uniting together. Because this is about Eastern North Carolina folk. We live here. I was born here. That school, Elizabeth City State University, that's where black and white teachers used to meet prior to 1969, 68, undercover to train and prepare for desegregation. Because many of these counties in this area didn't even desegregate until 68, 69, 70, or 71. 14, 15 years after Brown. This is where you are. In the South.
Yes, sir.
And this should cause a complete looking at the South, starting right here in North Carolina. Pattern and practices. What's been going on? Because if somebody thought they could do this and get away with it, what else have they done?
There it is.
What else? What else has the DA sat on? What else has the sheriff sat on? Why is he so hungry for the Superior Court judge? A black man sits there now. Why is he so hungry for it? With the power that we have, that he just told you anybody could go to the Superior Court judge and they could request. So we are clear. They are inept, incapable, and incompetent. His name is what? Womble. Sheriff Wooten and who?
Andrew Womble.
Y'all hear? Not our Andrew.
Nope.
That's right. We say the name of our Andrew.
That's right.
We challenge those others.
That's right.
They have been AWOL. They've let this go on. It's 100, I'm closing him through. 144 hours today. You think about that. Now, it didn't take them 20 seconds to end a life they didn't create. With a soul in it that will live through eternity. And for 144 hours.
My God.
No arrest, no charges, no film, no body cameras, no way. They're too inept, they're too incompetent, and they're too incapable, and we won't stand for it. We're closing now, but we're going to ask if you have any questions about the case, we turn it over to Attorney Harry Daniels for any statements he made, and we will close this press conference at this time.
Thank you, Reverend Barber. And on behalf of the Brown family, we appreciate the clergy standing in solidarity with the family. It means the world to the family and also to the legal representatives. Y'all have any questions at this time about the case, about what's happening right now?
Have you received any updates about the request from the sheriff for the body cam footage to be released? Have you gotten any indication?
No, I know no updates. He's AWOL. No updates from the sheriff. You know the questions? Have y'all seen the video get released? No?
The city one?
The city cameras? No. Well, the city cameras were released earlier today, just before we went into the meeting, and it shows a pickup truck full of deputy sheriffs right on the back of it. As soon as it rounds the corner and blocks Andrew in, they get off the truck shooting. Get off the truck shooting. We didn't see that yesterday. That's what they redacted.
That's right.
They didn't want us to see that.
Yeah.
So even if he had time to try to do anything, they didn't give him time. They got off the truck shooting. And like I said yesterday and earlier on today, he was trying to save his own life because they had no regards for it. And anybody would do. When you begin shooting at you immediately, try to save your life. And when he tried to do it, they shot him in the back of the head.
Especially in this climate. You see a truck full of folk, you don't know who they are, but if you go back in the history of this area, this is also the history of the slave patrols. And when I hear that description, it sends shivers down my spirit. For a bunch of folk coming at you on a truck.
Think about Ahmaud Arbery in the truck chasing him down.
That's right.
But on this truck, armed men with assault rifles.
That's right.
These men was the men who took an oath to protect and serve the citizens. They was out on the search party.
I'm sorry if I missed a step here, but could you say more about what you mean by the city cameras and
City street cameras. The city has street cameras.
have those been released?
Yes, they're out.
The city released.
They have been released. They are out. Some new agency, I think CNN may have them as well.
And let me, I don't know about anybody else
Stand
here.
one less right here. Come on.
I don't know about anybody else here, but part of the patterns and practices that I talked about is how the day just before they were getting ready to release the body cam footage to the family, they declared a state of emergency. A state of emergency because they knew what was on the tapes.
That's right.
And they were expecting the family to react in a very violent way, which we don't normally do, but that's their way of setting us up. What's her name? CNN, Coates, Laura Coates, described it as a Pavlovian response.
Right.
After things happen and blow up, just like before Chauvin's verdict, they started boarding up the
right.
city,
That's right.
expecting the worst.
That's right.
And that's what they're doing here. Don't allow them to suck you in.
That's right.
Be who you are
That's right.
and continue to peacefully demonstrate.
That's right.
That's right. Let me ask, we can't really touch like we want to in COVID. Back in the civil rights movement, when they sang certain songs, they would hook up, elbow to elbow. We hook up and want you to know all across this world, this is one voice. We declare that this case must be taken over
Yes.
by independent investigators.
Yes.
They are inept,
Inept.
they are incapable, and they are incompetent. And while somebody wanted to declare a state of emergency for people that have been non-violently, I want to say that, not just peaceful, non-violently protesting. They may not be peaceful in their spirit because they're hurt, but they're non-violent. But I want to say they may have said it's a emergency, but we as clergy declare today a moral emergency. This is a justice emergency.
That's right. That's right.
And we have to have the powers of this state any way possible to take over this case and do it right. And the DA ought to do it himself. But if he doesn't, they know how to put pressure where they need to put pressure. Because they are inept. They are incapable and incompetent. A man is dead whose life cannot be given back, but whose memory will never be forgotten. And whose blood, imperfect like all of our blood, but that blood has the power to bring us and seal us together in the fight for justice. God bless you and love you.
Hey, if there's anybody that want to go to the bridge in Camden, it's shut down again today.
That's right.
So feel free to go over and support the protesters out there. You know, we try to shut it down twice a day. So any clergy can go over to office of support. There she goes. She's right here. Protesters love to see.
Greer.